We're talking traps. Ding, ding, ding. Basic kind, simple kind. This time on Deathcraft Dungeon. Let's do this. Dun, dun. All right, folks. Sorry, coffee's hot. Let's talk traps. So traps, and you can look in the DMG. 5th edition is what we're talking about. 5th edition DMG, page 120. Has the basic trap layout, rules, and setbacks, and that kind of thing, which we'll get into. And your other reference will be page 113 of Xanathars, which gives us a little more on traps, but actually goes way more into the complex. We're not going to talk about complex traps. We're going to talk about simple, basic traps. Well, the first thing, you need to determine your play style. Now, if you're like a old school grinder, which all play styles are cool, don't get me wrong, but it is super annoying for GMs, DMs, GMs in this case, in my opinion. DMs don't do this bullshit. Make PCs check every 5 foot of movement for traps. It does nothing but slow the game down. It doesn't make traps worth a shit. It gets everybody else, and only the guy doing it is like the rogue or somebody with a high investigation or a perception check, and somebody assisting them, because it's ridiculous. What you need to do is, one check can check it all. Also, don't let them roll at all. There is passive perception and passive investigation for a reason. It saves dice rolling for when it matters. That way, you got it written down. They want to do it. If they tell you, we're taking extra caution looking at this, cool. There's no roll. Add 5 to the passive, like they have advantage. If somebody's assistant, it's 5 to it for passive. Give them an advantage. That way, your traps are still going to work, or they're not going to work, and they're going to find them. The cool part about it is having people find those traps. The gotcha DMs, that's bullshit. Old school, I can't stand that. I cannot stand. Here's the thing. I'm all about killing someone with a trap if they're stupid. That's dumb. But it's not great killing somebody with a trap just because you can, just because it's ping. What does that do? Now, it's awesome if it's some kind of, you're trying to deter somebody going there. Killing them? No. Messing them up real bad? That's the way to do it. But let's get into this. So our traps come in a lethality of like 3 levels, at least in 5th edition. So setback lethality, and then you have dangerous, and then you have deadly. Well, so setbacks are anything to delay or kind of grind the PCs. It's going to grind. Setbacks, it slows them down, catches them, makes them have to turn around and go another direction. Anything that slows the progress of their exploration, that's a setback. Even as far as like a magical teleport that sends them way the hell off course or something, which is always fun. Splitting the party. I know they say it's never a good idea. It's always a fun idea, though. And it's always fun for the DM to do it. Don't give them the choice. Split the party. Alright, so, dangerous. So, this is the ancient guardian traps that's like to deter them, stopping tomb raiders from coming in, stealing from tombs and that kind of thing. It's not going to be deadly most of the time, because deadly traps, if it was an ancient poison trap or something, how good is that poison after, a millennia sitting there waiting to be triggered? So, use dangerous. Deadly is for when you want to do a death trap. But here's the thing. If you're going to use deadly traps, there should be a damn good reason. Also, your player should know beforehand what they're getting into. You should have foreshadowed this going down the pipe. It's like, oh yes, this trap laden tomb of the Prince of Thieves, or the Bandit Prince. We'll go with the Bandit Prince. That sounds better. The Bandit Prince, buried here 150 years ago, but he has tests put in there for if you want to gain his fortune from all his spoils. The grand treasure that awaits, you must pass a myriad of tests and traps. So it's up front. There's traps. And you pepper in a "no one has ever survived this test," or "thousands have entered and none have returned." Now we know it's deadly down there. Not, "Hey, we're going down the corridor chasing some orcs and oh god, it's a deadly trap." Why? I don't know. Shouldn't be. Not get me wrong. Did you set it for deadly? No. Could it still kill people if it's not? Yeah. If somebody's wounded and they fall down a 50-foot pit, they could die down there. Cool. That's fine. Don't feel bad. They should have known better. Should have healed up. Should have taken care of business. Should have got a better perception. Don't send the dwarf who can't see shit forward. Don't send the halfling barbarian charge down the hallway, falls in the pit, gets screwed. He's a bunch of spikes, dead. Sounds great. No problem. Rage didn't protect you. Anyway, that said, setbacks. This is what you want to use your setback. You want to use your setbacks for story. That tells story. That's the kind of stuff that Kobold set. It's just constantly just digging little pieces, taking little parts, catching them, making them, costing them resources, just on and on and on and on, and just picking away hit point, 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 hit point. That kind of thing. That's a setback. A barbed net. That's cool. Kobolds are probably going to drop that on you though, because now you're restrained and you can't get it off easily because of the barbs, or you take automatic damage or something fun like that. But then the kobolds are coming out and stabbing you with spears. So that's probably not the setback trap we're looking for. We're looking more for like, if you go through here, it trips the thing and the whole part of a wall slides and blocks off half of the corridor, leaving some of the party on one side, some on the other. Or you do this and you trigger a trap which locks the door behind you so you can't go back that way unless you have a damned good thief. Or it's pit traps, stuff that slows the party. They have to go around them, figure out how to jump them, build something to climb across. Somebody fell in, we got to get them out. Like bungee sticks. These aren't deadly at all, but it's like bang. Now you got, you've made noise. You can't, when you take damage from these traps, they got make a con save. If they don't make the con save, they made noise. So that brings on the bad guys. That's even better than an alarm trap. Alarm trap. There. Let's go to purposes. Alarm. Alarm trap is awesome. It's a gong, or it rattles a string of pots, old rusty pots and pans. The kobolds got hung up when you go in and didn't see the tripwire. Spectacular. Everybody now all the bad guys get, advantage on their initiative check, or they're going to be it's going to trigger an ambush, or a wandering monster comes that way. It's almost like ringing a damn dinner bell. That's awesome. Like a Minotaur maze. There's a Minotaur maze. You keep hitting these noise traps. That just gives the Minotaur coming out. When he first comes out, he does advantage, and he finds you. That's the fun thing. Other setbacks you can do is stuff that makes them stink. If they get sprayed with that skunk thing, well, guess who can't hide now? Or is at least on disadvantage on stealth. They know you're coming because you stink to high heavens and you can't wash that stuff off. I mean, you might let a cantrip take care of it, but I would say no. I think if it's like a giant skunk urine or something horrible like that, or it specifically died, you can't get rid of it with a cantrip. You just rule no. Just like, I'm going to clean that. Cool. 14 cantrips later, maybe, per guy. And what you do then, if you're in a dungeon and they're taking all that time, and they're taking, a minute 40 each, or 2 minutes each to clean some guy thoroughly so he doesn't stink and can keep going, then you roll a random encounter right up their ass, and it just comes and jumps them. You cannot let people hang out in a dungeon. It's a dungeon. Even if you lock yourself in a room somewhere, somebody's going to realize there's a bunch of fresh blood or smelled something. That's another video. We'll get to that. All right, so alarms. Always use alarms if it's humanoids. Humanoids are going to set alarms up all the time. That's where your alarms work. Alarms are for humanoids. Alarms are for bandit camps. Alarms are for, the hideouts of villains, thieves' guilds, that kind of thing. All right, delays. Delays, once again, that is if it's like guarding the tribal lands or guarding, that's once again, that's a humanoid thing. That's not something that's going to be hanging out in a dungeon. The delay doesn't do anything for you unless it's like a pit trap or something like that. Way you're putting spikes in there for a reason because you're not meant to come out. That's what it is. And those pit traps are in there for a reason too. Those pit traps are not just to delay or to actually kill interlopers. It's to feed the monsters that live in there. Gelatinous Cube got to eat something. Kill enough people and build up, the giant rats crawl down there and eat you. That keeps your monsters alive in there. Makes sense? That's what pit traps are for. Pit traps are only for that. Delaying people unless you want to turn it into a chute, which is the pit trap is then the trap leads to the next level. That's always fun. Using traps, which we'll get into. We'll use traps to push the story, which is a good thing. Because that's what you also need to do. The delaying is also for the DM. Maybe it's a nasty poison or a curse or something that makes the PCs not want to just like keep kicking doors in. It's like teachable moments here. You keep kicking doors in and just slaughtering whatever's in there, murder hobo style, which I'm all about. It's super fun. Go kick the door and kill a bunch of baby orcs. Whatever you got to do. Whatever makes your paladin happy. You know, you're purging evil. Yeah, sure you are. No, you're rolling dice and killing stuff and drinking a beer and having pretzels with your buddies, and it's all good. But you can teach that's maybe not the best idea when they kick in the door and then, oh shit, the door explodes and does shitloads of damage to them, and then they got to fight with at half their hit points. Why is it half their hit points? Because the stuff in the DMG is set up for damage levels. Setback damage is D10, so your average is going to be, you know, it's going to be 6. It's going to be 5.5, end up being 6 damage. So then you're going to get 11 damage on 2d10 for the dangerous, and 4d10, you're going to get 22, which is 22 damage is deadly. First through 4th level? No. Here's what deadly is. You're at 0 hit points. No matter what level you are, if it's a deadly trap, you don't say this. It doesn't do so many dice. It does. You go to 0. You're dead. Start making death saves. That makes it deadly. It also makes it super simple for the GM. If he wants to have a deadly trap, when that thing goes off and somebody don't make their save, or somebody don't get out of the way, or somebody gets hit by it, your hit points are 0. That's all. Is that harsh? No. It's a deadly trap. 22 hit points is not deadly to a 4th level fighter. It's not. Or a 4th level barbarian, or a 4th level ranger. Hell, 4th level thief, 22. If you're playing max hit points, even without a con modifier, he ain't deadly to him either. It's not deadly to anybody if you do max hit points and the average damage. No. Don't roll damage either. Slows the game down. 0 hit points for that. Dangerous traps, whack. When they do you, half hit points. You get bloodied. I don't give a fuck. You got 100. Took 50. You just tell them, you're at half. They're like, what? Yep. That's why it's dangerous. That also makes traps fearful. Also, as a DM, though, you got to cut back on your numbers of traps. Do not just trap. Because then you get, every time they go in a dungeon, afterwards, after that happens, they're going to check every 5 feet. No. Do not do it. Do the passive. Let them go in there. They can describe to you. You can give them some bonuses. Or you get, make it easier to find the DC for the simple fact that they're doing certain shit. Like they get all in depth and describe it, which is cool. But it also slows the game down. But if there's a guy, if your rogue is now we got 2 lanterns going, we got plenty of light, a 10-foot pole, extended thieves tools, all kinds of crazy nonsense. We're tapping. I got 3 goats that I'm leading forward in front. You don't need it. Just let them find the traps and disarm the traps. Because then they get a winnable moment without you having to do jack or shit. That's the way to do it and make it sound cool. Here's the thing. If they don't look, oh yeah, whack them with the trap. It's fine. That's the best way to do it. Lull them into a false sense of security or let them go. Because it's like, don't trap the first door. Trap the 3rd door. First 2, it's locked. Not trapped though. Locked, not trapped. Cool. 3rd one, yeah. Is it locked? Yeah. All right, I'm just going to lock that one. Whack. And hit him with a trap. Also, there's nothing saying that you can't have traps that are triggered that don't activate until somebody goes over them. So, it ain't trapped. You can't detect the trap. You can detect something weird. And if they don't want to investigate it, it's no big deal. But have something in that same hallway to distract them. If you distract them with something else, like you see a glint of gold down here, well, they're going to be careful and go down that way. Be careful, watch that. Nobody's watching the floor. So when you do that, you click. Everybody goes, what? Yeah, the dwarf just stepped on something here. He felt a click underneath his foot. Now everybody's panicking. Oh, fuck. So they start looking around. That's when you find out, oh, now you've activated the trap somewhere. You don't know where. You can't deactivate from this because it's already activated. It only activates once until the trap goes off, and then it can reset. So now they're on edge. Now, that's even a better setback trap. They don't even know where it is. It may never go off, but they're going to be careful. And that's what you need if you need to slow your pace down. That's a good one. But the alarm is awesome. But make the alarm worth it. Not, oh, I made some noise. Okay, no. Not one ambush. Everybody knows. Everybody in a long distance knows. You got to make that alarm count. Because alarms, they're going to find those fairly easily. But when they don't, that's the best. Then you're ready to jump here, do your ambushes. Everybody gets advantage. Everybody gets a surprise round on these nasty PCs. Even if they got stupid-ass feats or abilities, we don't get a surprise. Well, you do now, because I don't get surprise. But now you get surprise, which means there's an alarm, so we can still surprise you. Why? Because it's my table and you guys fucked up and hit an alarm. Feats are not going to stop that from happening. You should have been smart. That's the way you play. All right, anyway, so like I said, setbacks. The damage they suggest on like first tier play is D10. That's cool. Your setback damage is kind of keep in there, but use the average. Use the average damage, throw 5 or 6 at them. It's like 5 damage. No big deal. But it's 5 every time. Bang, 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 bang. That's what the kobolds. They got little spiky traps, little pointed sticks shooting out, arrow traps, all kind. Tripwires, tripping, dropping a rock on your head, something like that. It's 5, 5, 5, 5. You will 5 diamond away. When it gets to second tier, it's 10, 10, 10, 10. Next one, 15, 15. Or actually go 20, 20, 20. And then you get to high tier. You get to 17 to 20. Yeah, that's where you go 50 every time. 50. That's a setback. But dangerous is half hit points. Half hit points. Don't worry about dice. Nothing. You just go half. I don't give a shit. Half. It's not meant to kill you. This way it won't. But it will half you. If you had 15 left, guess what? You got 7 now. Just do it. It makes it easier for the DM. And then also, once your players establish that, you just go, it's a dangerous trap. Everybody goes, okay, cool. Half hit points. Yeah, first couple times they're going to balk or bitch probably, but it's fine. You go, well, we could roll and you'd be dead. Or just take your half until we can move on so the game keeps going. Traps are something that you should use sparingly unless it's themed around whatever it's going in. Because it takes a lot of the use out of the other players unless you make them like the complex traps are awesome, which we'll get into another video. But you should always try to engage all your players in something. If maybe to defeat a trap, sure, you can do it. The rogue's going to get in there and do his tools. Awesome. But to get it, somebody has to lift up something. So it's 2 guys got to make a strength to hold it up. While somebody has to give him a light source because he can't see in there, or hold the mirror. You ever help your dad back in the day, your grandpa or mom, dad, whoever, fix a car? You're the guy that had to hold the light or hold the tools or whatever. Yeah, hand me a tool, hold the light. That's how you do it. You make everybody have to do extra stuff. That's why not just the rogues rolling. It's like, okay, well, he's going to do this. And depending on how everybody assists, besides just saying, I give the help action. Well, how are you going to do that? And I'll tell you if your help action gives any help or not. And what you do is the first one, if it works out, that gives advantage. If it doesn't, that imposes disadvantage because too many cooks in the kitchen messed up the thing. So instead of just making it simple, that's what makes traps better. It's still a simple trap, but to disable it is not just a single roll. If you want to build a trap as a main kind of encounter thing. If it's not, if you don't want to do that, don't have a bunch of crazy shit. So it doesn't happen all the time. You can even go, yeah, passively, you're a badass. You go, it's done, moving along, because you found it. Because you looked. And then everybody's still accomplishment, game moves on, pacing doesn't mess up. But if you want to build it in there, which you probably should every once in a while, give them some kind of thing that's like, oh, we got to get through this door, and it matters, and it's trapped. And if we don't do it, somebody could die. That's nice. Because if it's a deadly trap, and they fail on a deadly trap, it's not one of these, we failed on a deadly trap, oh, but we didn't fail by so much so it didn't go off. Oh, no. You just tell them. It looks pretty hair trigger. And if you fail at doing this, somebody's dead. If you do that, everybody at the table is going to get tense. And he can't do it without himself. So anybody involved in there has a good chance of dying. That's awesome. That's how you get nasty and you get people scared of traps again. Because right now it's like, oh, I took 6. It's almost like old school 3-5, the Barbarian. He's an 18th level Barbarian. We ain't got a Rogue. The Rogue died 3 rounds ago. We got a hallway full of traps. It's okay. We'll just send this Barbarian raging running down there. He can get shot with everything and disable all the traps. No. You can let him do that. But in our new way of doing things, the first shot takes the half hit points. Want to keep going? He's going to turn back. And if it's deadly, cool. He takes it. Whack. Well, I take half damage. Cool. What's half of all? This takes you to 0 hit points. This isn't I take half hit point damage from weapon damage. You do. This is trap damage. This isn't weapon damage. This is trap damage. Just like falling damage is falling damage. Your rage doesn't work against that shit. You know, you're a battle rage. You rage in the middle of battle. I know you're not a battle rager dwarf, but I mean, you're an old school berserker or whatever. Cool. Weapons and stuff, you shrug it off. You do not shrug off the rolling boulder that came and crushed you. It's because that, you know, yes, is it funny when somebody gets rolled over and does 68 damage and the barbarian's like, oh God, it hurt, and he stands back up? Sure. But it also takes the teeth out of your trap. It's not scary then. Why run? He's just going to get run over and keep going. Dumb. Don't let mechanics ruin the story. Don't let it happen. Just fucking go. Whack. Deadly traps, 0 hit points. I mean, if you want to make them real nasty, like if it's like a disintegration spell, it's not even that. It's, you're gone. There's no coming back. I'd use that sparingly and wait a while. People get really miffed if they're 18th level fighter that they love so much that gets turned to ash and everything you ever owned did too, and there's nothing left to bring you back with except for wish. 18th level, I should have known better. If I tell you it's a deadly trap in your 18th level, you should know this is going to be bad. This is going to be way worse than a Tarrasque coming out of there. Yeah. Anyway, so remember, deadly, full damage. That just takes you straight to 0. Nothing. Dangerous, half damage. Takes you half hit points, just right off, no rolls, and then use the setback chart in the DMG, so but use average. So just take 5, 10, and double it every time. 5, 10, 20, and then 40. That's a good way to go instead of 50. Let's just go 40. Because 40, 10, it's going to be averaged out there. You do that, that simplifies it as you as a DM. That's way less shit you got to remember. That's 14. I mean, if you're rolling these, you know, that's an extra dice you don't got to roll every time. Why bother? I mean, we all like rolling dice, but as a DM, especially if you're playing like online stuff like we are now, that's even more crap I got to roll. Why? I can just go, took 5. Let's move on. Average damage, greatest invention ever. I'm so happy they did it. I know some people don't like it, but I always use average. But remember, when you do a crit with something, for God's sakes, you got to roll that dice because average damage does not average the crit correctly. You got to roll the secondary dice to add to the average. It's only fair. Otherwise, it doesn't come out right. All right, so I rambled on a lot. So simple traps. Remember, deadly, full, dangerous, half hit points. Setback, use the chart in the DMG on page, what is it, 120? 120. Let's go talk purpose. Alarms, humanoids, protection of property, that kind of thing, and need to have a consequence. Alarms need to have a consequence besides just noise. Make it a bad consequence, like everybody gets ambushed or everybody gets something, or everybody, whoever triggered it, you know, counts as marked or something like that. You can do that. They're glowing, so they can't hide or some shit, which would actually be more like a setback than an alarm. But that's another good one. Setbacks that makes the journey difficult. That's what a setback is. It doesn't need to be like a bunch of damage. More likely, it's going to be much more entertaining and much more of a thing if gates come down and lock them in, or a net falls on when they get in the cage. That's restraining them, but it's a setback trap. You know, that's not just a delay. That's a delay and a restraint, which is all cool. Which you can do that. So then you got slay traps, which we said that's just deadly. But I mean, slay traps are more. You need to reserve that for. That's the guard. It's something on a chest that's guarding some sort of sacred text, or the ancient tomb. You know, something to lich. You know, people aren't living in this thing. There are not monsters moving in and out of a deadly trap. You know, unless it's like on a chest or something like that. And if you get the key, you also need to make deadly traps defeatable. You know, make sure you pepper a key in there for the deadly trap because we don't want them risking life and limb just to get in that chest. Because honestly, what they're going to do is take the chest and throw it off a cliff and break it. And then when it goes up, nobody dies. They might destroy the shit on the inside. But if you got guys that do that, then they lose out on the treasure that you took all the time to write up. So just throw a key around. Let them get a key, open it up. They use a key. There's no trap. With the trap, without the key, it's a crapshoot. Hope that rogue does a good job. All right, we can talk more about traps another time, but simply put, I think you average damage for setbacks. Dangerous traps are half hit points no matter what level they are, and deadly traps take you straight to 0. Do that. It's nice and quick. Also, use them sparingly, and make sure if you're going to use them as a main plot point or something that's like a main encounter, that everyone in the party is engaged. You've got to find jobs for everybody to do, because if not, it's just a one-man rogue show, and nobody wants to sit through that. I mean, it's great to sit back and watch storyline, but you don't want to do it trap after trap after trap after trap after trap. Dumb. Also, passive or one roll to investigate or search or perception in an area. Don't be doing every 5 foot bullshit. They can tell you, I'm checking thoroughly or checking every 5 foot. Cool. That's called advantage. Then you just use passive. You found it. It's all good. You also should probably set some of your traps realistic DCs. Because the DC of 20, which is almost every published scenario that we always see, it's a DC of 20. No, that's a deadly, that's a ridiculous DC. You know, if this is first tier, 12, 14, 18 if it's rough. Remember, we're +2 at first tier. We're +2% God, see, I'm losing my mind. We're +2 to, what am I saying? What am I thinking? What am I doing? Don't know. Proficiency. Oh my God. This is an old man. So, +2 proficiency modifier. You're +2. +2 proficiency modifier. If they don't have a super high stat, so say let's say that we didn't roll stats and we did the old average there, and that's your big stat. It's 2. That's 4. Okay? Their pass is 14. Can they pull a 24? Sure. Should you ever have 24 DC in something? Hell no. Don't do that. You don't need no 24 DC on a trap unless you don't want them in there for no damn reason. You know, and why put stuff in there? If you want to put that as here's what we put in here to make this it's a place you can come back to when you're higher level. Well, that's great, but come on, man. Who wants to go do the same dungeon twice? Nobody does. You cleared it out. We're victorious. Let them be victorious. Let them get the treasure. You know, unless it's a big giant plot point, let them get in there. Or if you want to seal it, don't make it pickable. There's no way to get in there. Knock spell doesn't work for some reason. You got to have the right blood of the ancestry or answer a certain question or whatever you got to do. That's how you thwart people from getting in there. Not a ridiculous DC. Nobody wants to have failure all the time rolling their skill test. It's a skill test, for God's sakes. Also, everybody don't get to roll. You know, who's going to do it? Cool. We attempt it. No. Didn't work? Cool. Get a crowbar out. That's how you're getting through. Not, let me try. Nah, that's not how life works. You know. You can't, here's the thing. I can't go, if I'm not trained how to fix a car, most likely, I'm not going to be able, you know, as we're going there and it's like the equivalent of a trap and we're going to do this and I got to change the distributor cap. Cool. So the guy trained goes and does that. But it didn't work because he rolled bad, because he messed up somewhere. Didn't get something on there. So the untrained guy just rolls and drives a natural 20 and you think, no, it doesn't work that way. You know, you can luck into some shit, but, I mean, if there's a professional and the professional fails, you don't let everybody and their brother just keep trying. It's just like, sorry, man, we're going to figure a different way because that way ain't working. Don't let everybody just roll. And if they do, just start telling them, we're not taking that roll. You got to keep control of your table, bro. Keep control of your table. That's what I say. All right. I've rambled on far too much on this early Sunday morning, and it's because I figured it was time we were way overdue for a video. I'm sorry, we had stuff going on as usual. But there's a lot of weird stuff going on in the world, so let's play D&D because it feels more fun. It's way better than that. And then we don't got to worry about, democracy being thwarted, or we won't get into it. But It's way better. Let's just talk D&D. D&D's fun. Traps. Keep doing a Deathcraft style.